Hey everybody, welcome to Hazel's Daisies. Today we're going to be talking about how to seam together the two ends of a headband. In this video we're going to be doing the really cute little twisted seam, and the very first thing we're going to do is cut our tail off of our working yarn. So that's what I'm going to be using to seam. I'm not going to have an extra piece. I'm just going to cut a long tail and use that as my yarn to seam. And if you're curious how much to cut, I usually just follow down, follow back, and follow down again the length of my finished piece, and that generally gives me plenty of yarn to seam with, maybe with a little bit extra. So to get started, we've got to decide which ends to put together. If you have a pattern that has a very specific right side or wrong side, you're going to want to put together your two right sides, because once we seam it, we're going to flip it inside out. So you want your right sides facing together. Because this pattern, this is my Witch Fingers headband pattern, but because this pattern it's fully reversible, so both sides look exactly the same, you can just pick which side you think will look better facing out, and that can be your right side. So for this, I'm just going to close it up here. So what you're going to do is you're going to close it up, and then give it a fold and slide your pieces into each other. You want to make sure that you're nice and snug up in the corners. It doesn't really matter if you want to count. You can get really particular with it, but from what I found, this works just the same. It looks the exact same, and it's less fussy. So you just want to make sure your corners are really tight up in here, because if you don't get your corners tight, there will be a hole. You will notice that. The other thing you want to make sure you do is that you have your working yarn on an exterior end. You don't want your working yarn coming out of one of these holes. So make sure you're set up, you're sandwiched nice and tight. Then you're going to twist. I like to twist my yarn. We're going to weave it through a tapestry needle here. If your yarn is too big to fit through a tapestry needle, you can always use a crochet hook and kind of pull your yarn through with a crochet hook. This fits the tapestry needle. I think if I was doing a super bulky, we might need to go to the crochet hook. So I'm going to just readjust here really quick, make sure my ends are in. And then I like to wrap the exterior and start over here just to kind of make sure that this doesn't get floppy. The thing you're going to want to do is you're going to go in under your cast on and bound off edge. So I'm going to come around. I'm going to start just kind of somewhere on the edge here. I'm going to pick up underneath this cast on and bound off edge, and I'm going to go in the next, so you can kind of see where the needle is, and then pick up under this corner right here. It doesn't have to be perfect, because again, this is a seam. It's not really going to be seen. It's just going to hold everything together. But you want to make sure you're getting under all your fabric so you don't get any holes. And you're just going to be weaving through, back and forth, kind of like a sine wave. You just want to make sure you pick up everything. And I'm not too particular on where I go. There's no real trick to it. You just want to make sure that you're staying close enough together to the previous stitch that you're not going to get a hole. I'm sure that there is a much more particular method or way, but I'll tell you what, this is easy, it's quick, it's not fussy, and those are the kinds of things that I love. Easy, quick, not fussy. So you probably could be particular and fussy, make sure you're going in this or that or the particular hole, but it's a seam. Again, it's not going to be seen. You just want to make sure that you're close enough that you're not going to have holes in your fabric when you pull it tight. So we're just kind of trying to go in near every hole, but close enough is good enough for this. You do want to make sure that you, as you're working, You're kind of trying to make sure that this stays up here. That is the one thing I will say, is you got to kind of make sure, because you don't want this to be short when you get to the ends. If you're here, there's going to be a hole. So you just want to make sure that you're pulling this one tight. You're keeping it all. You could count your stitches again, but that's too fussy for me. So we're going to wing it. We're going to use our eyeballs. And here we go. Through. If you overlap a little bit, that's okay too. It really doesn't make too much of a difference. This is folded on the underneath side of your piece, so it really doesn't make a difference. Okay. Now here is where it gets a little tricky. When you get towards the end, I like to just kind of pull up my little middle hole there. Make sure they haven't vanished. And when I'm kind of at my last, see, I can see here I don't have it. So I'm going to try to dig in there and grab it. Make sure I've got it. There we go. There we go. All right. And then I'm just going to go around the outside again, just to kind of tighten everything through on the edge so you don't get any weird little flaps. And a little more loosely this time, just to kind of weave the yarn and just back through. It doesn't really, this one is just to kind of hold your yarn. So we're just going to kind of, wherever we can stick it, whatever it goes through. This one's getting tough on me here. Okay, there we go. We're just going to go through. And as you can see, we're just going underneath this final bound off edge, or cast on edge here. All right, that's probably good. So as you can see, nice and tight, everything's sandwiched together. All right, and so now we're just going to flip it right side out. So you have this beautiful twist, no holes if you want to get up in there. You can't even see the seaming. It looks great. So there's that. The final thing you need to do is just clip this off and call it a day. All right, hope that helps. Thanks for watching.